I wanted to introduce you to the Honorable Mayor Sylvester Turner to give some remarks on all of our initiatives and cities connecting children to nature.
Look, let me start off by thanking Brandon. He's very much committed to this and to our children, to education. So thank you so very much, and please give it up to Brandon. Thank you. And then, even though he's acknowledged already, the Director of Education, let me do it one more time. And that is Juliet Stepetch, who's just done and doing a tremendous job. Thank you, Juliet, for your leadership. You know, they have the largest department at the City of Houston. Now, I'm being funny. It's a very small department, but they do some incredible things. And so it simply reflects on their the caliber of the leadership and the quality of the leadership and their passion for our children. So thank you both so very, very much. And then Councilmember Carla Cisneros is here. She's the chairperson of our education committee at City Hall. And in fact, it was her brainchild, and she pushed it forward, and it's been providing incredible leadership to that initiative, and I want to thank her for what she's doing. Please give it again, Carla Cisneros. I'm going to share just a little of my time. Councilmember Cisneros, why don't you just come up and just say hello to this group? You know, because this, when it comes to our children and connecting cities and children with nature, is critically important. And I know this is something that's very near and dear because, number one, she is here and participated in the stakeholders meeting. So, Councilmember Carla Cisneros.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I'm so grateful to all of you because I know it's very near and dear to all your hearts too. We know how important it is for children to be connected with nature, and in the world today, so many of them just are not. You know, they don't play outside. They don't get the opportunity to explore and discover things. You know, that a lot of our kids are growing up inside. So what you learn from being outside about the world, about, you know, how things work, you know, is so important, and all of you are collectively working to do exactly that. Thank you for your passion. Good to see so many people here today. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We want to give a shout out to the National League of Cities, so thank you all for your leadership and for being here, being a part of this initiative. And then to all of the stakeholders, to all of the individuals that are from the City of Houston, and even if you're outside the City of Houston, let me thank you for being here as well. Let me just say, very, very important, this is a growing city, it's a developing city, but look, if I reflect on my own background, there were not a lot of parks around or in the neighborhood in which I was born and reared, and maybe let me reframe it, there were not a lot, and then the parks that did exist, very seldom did you kind of go to them, because, you know, they may have been a city park with a name on it, but they were not conducive to you being in them. And then for those parks that did exist where we did go, there was not enough what I call functional equipment, and so we had to just we made our baseball fields, so to speak. And so you go and get pillowcases with some dirt in them, and then you just run around. Now that you establish your own trail, you know, so we just made our parks, or because there were not enough parks, you just get out in the street, you know. And so we played basketball in the street. Okay, you just made do with what you had. And you know, the question, and so the objective, of course, is to go beyond that. And I want to thank stakeholders in the City of Houston and outside who have really formed this public-private effort to change that and to place parks and other trails very close to neighborhoods and where people live. And just like in the City of Houston, we have the Spark Parks, where you're taking advantage of land at schools, and you're turning those into parks. And that's happening all over Harris County, and that's been a significant initiative, and I want to thank them for that. And then I want to thank, started the initiative Bayou Greenways 2020, the Kinder Foundation, and others who have been very generous in that. And initially, a bonding proposal, I want to say going back maybe 2012, about $100 million, and then adding another $120 million through private philanthropic collaborations. And now the whole notion is create these linear parks throughout the whole city, connecting parks and green space and trails. And it really has changed things quite a bit. Because I will tell you, to be able to ride a bike from one side of town to the other side, and where you're connecting parks and neighborhoods and communities really makes a tremendous difference. And so I certainly want to acknowledge what's happening there. And then, you know, we started what we call our complete communities. And what that means, every community should be a community of promise and opportunity. And there are certain things, regardless of where you live, you want to find those elements that are there. And so affordable housing, but a part of that, parks and green space. And let me back up. In the city of Houston, we have a number of signature parks. Very, very nice. Memorial, very, very nice. Very nice. And even getting nicer. Herman Park, nice park, even getting nicer. Discovery Green, Buffalo Bayou, Levy Park. There are a number of signature parks that we have, and people come from all over the city, all throughout the region, and they attend those parks. But at the same time, there are hundreds of what I call neighborhood parks that are closer to where people live, that we need to bring up. We need to improve. And that's a part of establishing park equity, you know, within our city. So a part of complete community is upgrading, enhancing neighborhood parks so that they're not just parks with a name on it, but they are functional, beautiful parks that add to the landscape and, quite frankly, that encourages families to exit their homes and to be out in those parks. And that's where we are focusing now, for example, with complete communities. And not too long ago, you know, I asked companies, businesses, to join with us on what we call 50 by 50, and that is companies, corporations, partnering with 50 communities, 50 parks, local parks, parks that generally maybe are overlooked, but to stay with those parks for 3 to 5 years, to bring them up, to identify what the needs may be, to work with the people in those neighborhoods, and to enhance those parks so that regardless of where you live in the city, you are close to parks that are functional and attractive, and that families and communities will be excited to attend. And so that's the 50 by 50 initiative. And I'm pleased to say that people have responded to the call. I want to thank the Parks Board for their collaboration on that and on so many other things. But we're moving forward to that, because just imagine when you have the signature parks, and then when you upgrade all these local neighborhood parks, then you really are cities connecting children with nature. And you're getting them out of their homes, and you're getting them out and about, and you're establishing a very kinetic city where people are moving. And it's not just about recreation, it's about good health as well. So when people are moving, when they're getting around, when they're riding their bikes, when they're walking, it just changes things on so many multiple levels. And then, since this is 2 years out from Hurricane Harvey, we recognize that parks and green space are part of our resiliency effort, okay, on how we mitigate the risk of flooding. And so as we even build detention basins, and right now, for example, in Northwest Houston, used to be the Inwood Forest Golf Course, 224 acres. We're turning that into a detention basin as a part of our flooding mitigation strategy. But we're not just going to dig a hole and leave it there. It's an excellent opportunity to turn that into a recreational outdoors sort of complex, where there are bike trails and some other amenities that are encouraging people to come out and enjoy themselves and enhance the quality of life. And so we're doing that, and quite frankly, looking at doing that all over the city. But it's a part of making the city stronger, more resilient, and more sustainable. As we establish or build out the infrastructure, we announced a plan a week or so ago about the Green Infrastructure Program. I've got some people from Public Works. That's Steve. From Public Works, Steve, wave your hand. A part of Public Works, but the Green Infrastructure Initiative, which means that as we seek to make our city more resilient, more sustainable, connecting children with nature is a part of the strategy. And so there are multiple purposes that are being met, at the same time. And then for the first time ever, the city is putting forth this climate action plan. For the first time ever, I'm very excited about that. And what better way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions than by working with parks and green space in achieving those purposes? And can you see how all of these things connect? It's not about doing one thing here and one thing there and one thing over here. It's about doing all of these things and align themselves together so we can connect children to nature. We can mitigate the risk of flooding. We can reduce greenhouse gas emissions by doing all of these things. And then at the same time, we are enhancing communities' quality of life. Because let me tell you, parks and green space in a neighborhood literally can change that neighborhood for the better. And I know I'm right about it because I grew up, for example, still live in Acres Home. The West Lilliard Park used to just have a name on it. And very few people were in the park, except people whose intentions were not very good. But families and children did not go there. It was the West Lilliard Park. But now when you go, and it's now the Astros Major League Urban Youth Baseball Academy, and you have the baseball fields that are there, and the jogging trails, and every second Saturday in April, there are 13,000 to 15,000 people in the park for a family day, okay? And people are walking there or they're biking there, but they're getting there. And it has changed, and the whole area has changed right along with it. So parks and green space will change everything for our communities and for our families. And so that's why I wanted to come and just thank you for your participation. This group has grown since you met before, and it's my hope that when we meet again, it will even double and triple in size, because quite frankly, it's all about our children. It really is all about our children. And lastly, what I would say, someone once wrote that children are messages that we send into the future to a world we ourselves may never see. What sort of message shall we send? When we connect them to nature and enhance their quality of life and provide an environment that's conducive to good health, then we really are sending a positive message into this future. And what a better city to do that than right here in the city of Houston. So thank you for your participation.